Generally, when we are watching a thriller movie or a crime drama series, we hear the term accomplice thrown around a lot. The murderer and his accomplice have been caught. Shall we see what exactly this word accomplice means and who is an accomplice? Let's find out. An accomplice is any person who knowingly and voluntarily participates in the commission of a crime. Now, he may not be the main offender, but he encourages, assists, or supports the commission of such offense. Then he is an accomplice. Let's take a simple example. Let's say Mr. A is committing theft and his friend Mr. B is keeping a watch outside the building, seeing if any cops or any bystanders are walking by. Though his friend Mr. B did not participate in committing the crime of theft, he still aided his friend. Therefore, he can be termed as an accomplice. An accomplice can be an abettor who instigates, aids, or conspires the commission of crime, or he can be an accessory, that is, who assists in the commission of crime before the crime takes place, such as planning, or after the crime takes place, such as destroying the evidence or helping the offender to escape. An accomplice who turns against his co-accused and gives evidence for the prosecution. In exchange, he receives a conditional pardon by the magistrate. When this happens, the accomplice is termed as approver, as he is being a witness against his co-accused. Of course, he is still treated as an accomplice, but he testifies against the others, which are the co-accused. As for the evidentiary value of the testimony of the accomplice, this is done in two ways. One is through rule of law and other is through rule of prudence. As for rule of law, it is done through the provision of section 138, which states that an accomplice shall be a competent witness against the other co-accused, and a testimony which is corroborated, an accomplice testimony which is corroborated, and a magistrate basing on such testimony convicting the other co-accused is not illegal. This is clearly laid down. Meaning, let's say if an accomplice turns against his co-accused and gives testimony against the co-accused, which is further corroborated by some evidence, and the magistrate, taking this into his cognizance, then convicts the remaining co-accused, then such conviction shall not be termed illegal. That's what this provision says, and making an accomplice a competent witness. An interesting thing to note here is that there is a change in the legal terminology compared to the past Indian Evidence Act. Under the Indian Evidence Act, it says that a conviction is not illegal if it is based on the uncorroborated testimony of the accomplice, meaning the magistrate, listening to the just sole testimony of the accomplice and there is no supporting evidence of it, he convicts the rest of the co-accused, then such conviction is not termed illegal, even though there is no independent evidence supporting the testimony of the accomplice. So they gave that power to the magistrate in Indian Evidence Act. But now, in Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam, the Bare Act language clearly emphasizes saying it's corroborated testimony, meaning whatever testimony or whatever the accomplice says, it requires an independent corroboration, meaning it requires an independent evidence backing whatever testimony he is giving in the court. Then only the magistrates can convict the other co-accused and rely upon whatever the accomplice gives as part of his testimony. Now, unlike before, there is no contradiction of provisions, as under section 119 clause B of the Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam clearly states that an accomplice is unworthy of credit unless he is corroborated by material particulars, further emphasizing that a strong need for independent corroborations is required to rely upon the testimony of an accomplice and then convicting the rest of the co-accused, thereby setting a clear rule of prudence. So 119 clause B acts as a rule of prudence and 138 acts as a rule of law, thereby establishing the evidentiary value of an accomplice. Well, this shift from discretionary to now a statute mandating that independent corroboration is required to rely upon the testimony of an accomplice has been a subject of lot of criticism by the legal minds of our country, as now it becomes very difficult in prosecuting complex crimes which involves conspiracies and so on, where the testimony of an accomplice becomes a key evidence to lead to conviction, and majority of the time right now it can probably lead to a lot of acquittals, so it's a debatable one. The criminal law does not only look at the hand which committed the crime, it also looks at the mind which planned it, it also looks at the voice which encouraged it, and it also looks at the support which made it possible. So, the hands of law are not out of reach, they are lengthy and far reaching to uphold justice. And finally, in a world filled with virus called ignorance, know the law, stay protected.